So, my name's Bethany. I work at the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Business, supporting our international work. Today, really excited to have another session for you all. So, thank you for those who are joining us today. We are going to have a session regarding our LLM law programs, and I'm really pleased to welcome Jason Lothar here today to speak with you all. He's Associate Professor of Law, and yeah, as I say, will be headlining our session today. Just before I hand over to Jason, I just wanted to highlight that we do have the Q&A function set up for you all today. So as Jason is speaking, please do make use of that Q&A function to put in any questions you have today, either for him to support regarding the law program specifically, and as well, we've got our colleague Alana Hunter from our international student recruitment team as well, who will be able to support with any more general questions that you may have about applying to us or Plymouth in general. I would also say that we have got a chat function, but do please be mindful not to put any personal details into the chat, because obviously we've got everyone today on the webinar. So yeah, please, if you've got any specific questions regarding an application or anything more personal that you want to kind of go through with us, my colleague Toon, who's also going to be managing the chat for you today, can be putting our email into the chat for you, so you can follow up with us directly on that. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you to Jason.
Hi everyone, thanks very much indeed for that, Beth. You've already introduced me, but I'll just say a little bit further that I particularly specialise in environmental law and things to do around environmental law of the sea and international law, so far as that relates to it as well. I'm also very excited to share with you that the 4 new programs that we've developed in postgraduate taught law. We have an existing LLM, which I'll talk about, and then we've also over this year developed 4 new streams in respect of it. Could I have the next slide, please, Beth? Thanks very much indeed. Common to all of them, common to all of the programs, are that they're a full 1-year full-time course that's delivered on campus here at the University of Plymouth. And on average, it's 2 by 3-hour classes per week per semester. And it's arranged over 2 semesters with a dissertation in the 3rd, as we'll see. You can choose to do a general LLM or a named award, and those named awards, as I'll talk through in a bit, are in business law, environmental law, international or maritime law. All of our teaching is done by expert and research active academic staff. We pride ourselves on that. Our classes are weekly, as I said, face to face, and we do activities within those sessions. It's not just an information download. It's we do workshops, etc., within that sort of thing too. We have online support through our digital learning environment, which is more than a repository for information. It is a great resource that we're able to use. And we offer online opportunities to include advanced legal database training. And that comes with certification as well for Lexis and Westlaw and those sorts of familiarly used legal databases. Of course, it's not just about the course itself. Plymouth does have a broad range of extracurricular activities that you might want to be involved in. And so we invite our postgraduate students to our research seminars when we have guest speakers in, for example. Occasionally we'll have film screenings. And so far as law is concerned, then we have a very active student law society. And the University of Plymouth Law Society runs quite a lot of social events. And obviously you're welcome to attend. You would be welcome to attend any of those. Next slide, please, Beth. So, as I said, we've got a common structure to all of the programs essentially, and so it's really based over 2 semesters when there is any sort of classroom requirement to actually be on campus and doing that. So, semester 1, there is a core module that is common to all of the programs. And then there's either an elective module that can be taken alongside that, or another core module, depending on the program, as we'll see. In semester 2, it's basically your choice. It's elective driven, and so 2 30-credit electives are taken. And in semester two as well, we start to introduce you to the concept of your dissertation, which is a lengthy piece of research that you undertake on your own with supervision from an expert member of staff. That dissertation then runs over what is we'd call semester three, or essentially the summer, and is handed in September of the following year, the one that you started in. So all in all, that structure, keep that in mind, it is common to all of our programs. So I'm just going to take you through the individual programs, the things that make them something that we think that you'd possibly want to do, and also at the same time, the sorts of things that you might expect to do with that degree after you've gone through it. Next slide, please, Beth. So first of all is our general LLM. Call it general in terms of the fact that it's just called an LLM law. It doesn't come with any specialist nomenclature attached to it. It doesn't have a name as such. And that's ideal for people that don't necessarily want to specialize in a particular thing, but want to be able to get some postgraduate level skills, attributes that they can use in the workplace. And so the way that it's arranged, as I showed you from the diagram earlier on, then semester one is 60 credits you must take and pass. You have the core module, the studying advanced legal skills and theories, bringing you up to speed. And then you have a choice of a human rights elective, international human rights, or contemporary issues in environmental law. In the second semester, again, it's 60 credits, and there's two of those from international humanitarian law, international and transnational criminal law, environmental law of the sea, or energy law. So you've got a little bit of scope there in terms of your choices and what particularly interests you. And then going into semester two and three, then there's a dissertation. What we found on the course, we've been running this course for 3 years. We will be fourth year next year. And so far, our students have really enjoyed the fact that they've been dealing with research active staff that introduce them to a range of approaches and critical thinking to understand key issues in relation to environment and other global challenges that go with it. We're very lucky where we are is that we're very well engaged with practitioners and also with organizations working within international and environmental law. So we bring a little extra to the program in respect of that. What we're hoping to do is that we're engaging our students with academic learning and also at the same time putting them in a situation where they're reacting to and thinking through real world legal and policy challenges. Could I have the next slide, please, Beth? Thank you. So our business law, one of our new specialist routes, has been specifically focused on international trade, business, and law. It's also about setting this in context, and the context that we're after in terms of making sure that that happens is that it's not just business law that you're looking at. It's also international trade policy that would go with that, and also the way that business changes and the business environment will actually change to that as well. It's very industry relevant in terms of the curriculum. We look at where thinking might be going in terms of business directions. Again, as with all of our programs, it's research led and it's practitioner informed. So the people that teach you are basically involved in this sort of thing. And we have exceptionally good, strong industry and professional links that apply across the region and also nationally in respect to the program. Can I have the next slide, please, Beth? In terms of the progression from this, then we're looking at people going into perhaps legal practice, but I would suggest to you that you check the professional body requirements in your country as to whether or not it would enable you to be a qualified lawyer or not. But otherwise, there's in-house roles that might be in-house counsel or a legal advisor or a consultant. Legal consultant could be there. Within the corporate and commercial world, then things like compliance officers or contract managers, corporate governance, risk management, that sort of thing. And then also that would then feed into professional and financial services, risk consultants, as it says on the slide there, roles in banking or insurance, etc. Also, business law applies very clearly to the public sector and to international organizations through policy advisor, regulatory roles, all roles in NGOs and international trade bodies such as the WTO or GATT, those sorts of things. Um, Otherwise, just in a general context of business leadership or entrepreneurship, then actually being able to have the skills to make strategic decision making or using your legal expertise in that way, then often is a real bonus at that level. Also, otherwise, and from our existing LLM, we've had this progression into higher research degrees, coming here to do a PhD or continuing study in that respect. Otherwise, then there are opportunities in relation to teaching business law, compliance, or governance as well. Next slide, please, Beth. Environmental law, then it follows the same pattern across the 3 semesters or the 2 semesters plus the summer. You have here an opportunity to look at environmental law in the context of criminological approaches to this as well. It's reflecting key staff expertise. And so, for example, my modules in environmental law of the sea and contemporary environmental law and policy are things that are very much informed by what I write about and my own research experience, and the same goes for my colleagues in criminology and otherwise. There's also the opportunity on environmental law to take a module that also is quite interdisciplinary and looks at science and policy in respect of climate change as well. So it's a little bit of a deviation from just the straight legal norm in respect of that. Next slide, please, Beth. So in terms of the progression here, again, we can go through these categories. So within legal practice, then most legal firms or global legal firms particularly have some sort of environmental focus on this, particularly looking at environmental compliance because there are a lot of opportunities for that sort of thing to happen, and also for regulation. But again, I would emphasize that look at professional body requirements in your own country as to whether or not you would be legally qualified as to be a practitioner lawyer. Public sector and regulation is increasingly important in an environmental context, and so most government departments will have some element of environment built into what they do. Environmental regulators, enforcement agencies, planning authorities are all feature, and actually we do have networking sessions within the course to meet enforcement agents, particularly in regulators in our particular region. Environmental law is often international or transboundary in its effects, and so international and other NGOs then are always looking for people that have a legal and policy background and that can offer that sort of expertise, particularly around development and particularly around the sort of twin goals of environmental protection and sustainability. Because of the fact that the module is very, very rooted in the Sustainable Development Goals, then corporate and consultancy roles that would obviously come from that. So people may go on to be things like environmental compliance managers, environmental specialists in relation to sustainable development, or a consultant within a particular industry that's being regulated. Otherwise, again, then policy research and teaching, then we do have policy analysis going on here. We've also got a wide program of students that are undertaking higher degrees with us in environmental law and governance, and also getting involved in teaching as a result of that sort of thing too. Can we go to the next one, please, Beth? So, international law, this takes a very broad and contextual approach. Obviously, it has some deep learning aspects to it as well. But there's a focus particularly on international criminal and humanitarian law, looking at human rights in a particular context as well. Whilst it's heavily law driven, then there is also the opportunity to look at measures around international security concerns, and so that would go a little bit broader than pure law itself. But again, very interesting in respect of the way that that goes. So as you can see across the semesters, we have the core module, we have the electives in international or public international law, and international humanitarian law, international and transnational criminal law, which is becoming a major theme at the moment. And as I mentioned, the international security aspect of that. Can I have the next slide, please, Beth? So, in terms of the progression that we might expect from this degree, then again, we're looking at legal advisor or a practitioner. Clearly, this is going to be in a more specialist field because it's looking at international law and particularly dispute resolution or cross-border legal matters. Again, I will emphasize the fact that in terms of practitioner levels, you would need to check your professional body requirements in your country. With international and intergovernmental organizations, then roles within the UN or any of its agencies, UNESCO, that sort of thing. Also, the international courts and tribunals, actually, the International Law of the Sea, for example, at the moment is looking for interns, and they're looking for interns on the basis that they would have completed some sort of international law scholarship at a higher level. It also relates to regional organizations, so say regional fisheries management organizations or international agencies. The nature of international law means that there is a governmental and diplomatic element to it. And so positions in foreign ministries, in international trade departments, in diplomatic services, or regulatory bodies, such as Interpol, for example, which is what the focus of one of the modules in one of my colleagues' research interests, quite well focused there. Otherwise, NGOs and think tanks, then policy and legal knowledge really does chime in these circumstances, and particularly when it's focused on human rights law, humanitarian law, or global governance. All of these sorts of things really feature highly in the course and what we would expect people to do with it. We do have links with the International Committee of the Red Cross within the city, and some expertise sharing is undertaken with them. Otherwise, again, as with all of the programs, then sort of getting into higher degree study, then or otherwise research posts or teaching in international law and related fields are also, outcomes that we would be expecting to see our graduates get involved in. Can I have the next slide, please, Beth? So that brings us to maritime law. Maritime law again is contextualized. It contains the traditional maritime law concepts that you would expect, but locates them in a contemporary context, bringing into view ideas around the environment and also around the environmental impacts and coastal impacts of maritime law and maritime business. It takes a broad view within semester one that brings in a bit of marine anthropology to deal with that as well, and equip you with those sort of critical tools to then look at the other more traditional legal elements of this, which also include environmental law of the sea, for example, as I said. As with all of the programs so far, then obviously you have your dissertation to consider as well, as far as that goes. So far as the maritime law degree is concerned, then we draw very heavily on our world-leading Marine Institute here at Plymouth, and we also have exceptionally strong links to various professional bodies and specialist groups within the city and nationally. The University of Plymouth is located on the coast, and so we do have two dockyards, one naval and one commercial dockyard close by. And so those ports give us opportunities for some sort of link ups as well. Next slide, please, Beth. In terms of the progression, then the legal practice, coming to this as an already qualified practitioner gives you the basis to specialize. If you're not, then it helps you in that specialist route. And again, I would say check your professional body requirements as to whether or not you are able to practice in this. If not, in-house legal advisor is always a good alternative. Within the shipping and maritime industries themselves, then legal compliance, and particularly environmental compliance at the moment, is exceptionally important. Insurance, ports, logistics organizations, all of these sorts of things that again are places that we would expect to see our graduates. In terms of regulatory and public sector bodies, then flag state organisations and port authorities, maritime regulators, for example, we have them in Plymouth that are located here and come and input onto the course, as well as classification authorities and more broadly focused international maritime organisations. And again, as I've indicated with the other programmes, then achieving an LLM in maritime law here would equip you further to go and do a higher degree, a research degree, or to be involved in consultancy, research, or teaching around maritime and admiralty law. Next slide, please, Beth. So, our entry requirements are at 2-2 level for a 2-2 degree for entry, and we would prefer it to be in a discipline that has got a legal component to it, such as law, or that it's got a degree of law and policy that's studied within that. So we will consider degrees in other disciplines, and that will be done on a case-by-case basis as to whether or not we think that there's enough there for you. The international degree equivalents, so what you've got in your country, we can work that out for you, and that can be checked either via the course webpage, or our admissions people can advise in respect of that sort of thing. For overseas students, then we have an English language requirement, and that's an IELTS score of 6.5 overall, with a minimum of 5.5 in each element, or the equivalent to that. I just want to reiterate the concept that we're not just looking for law students here. We're looking for people that may be sort of law adjacent or policy adjacent, that may want to be taking their career in a different direction and thinking about how law might be able to help them in that circumstance. I'd just like to say, next slide, please, Beth. And to say thank you. And if you are thinking of applying to Plymouth, then welcome. We welcome you to do that. Any questions or anything like that I can help with that are in the chat, or we can deal with otherwise, then we'll deal with those next. So thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated, and hope to see you in September.
That's great. And coming back onto camera to support you. Thank you, Jason, for that overview. And it was great to have a bit more detail, especially on those new strands. So yeah, the chat function has been busy, but I think mostly with Toon popping in useful links for everyone on the session today. So hopefully you'll be able to look at those. We will also be circulating Jason's slides and the recording of this session afterwards. So for anybody who's missed it or wants to watch anything back, then there will be opportunity to do so. Yeah, Alana's popped in something there just about the Law Society as well. So yeah, having a look on our Instagram pages is also a really good way of having a see kind of the type of things that these students do, and yeah, what as a student you could be getting up to here in Plymouth. So yeah, the Q&A is currently quiet. So if anybody does have a question, either for Jason or more generally, then do feel free to do that now. Otherwise,
Beth, I don't believe we mentioned the fees at all.
it's true. Would you do you want to, if I because I've stopped sharing, feel free to have a share of the other slides while anyone is thinking of any questions for Jason.
So the fees, so the fees for the program are going to be £18,700 for the tuition fees. We do have a £4,000 scholarship this year for anyone who joins in September 2026. So that's good news for applicants. I must stop coming to these sessions because I keep wanting to do more and more degrees. I want to do all of them.
Well, our Law Society at the moment are actually actively planning their graduation boat trip. So they're having a boat party in the Sound, but basically behind what's behind Beth and I at the moment in our backgrounds. So they'll be doing a boat party around there after they've finally graduated, which would be great.
There was one thing I was going to ask you actually, about the law clinic. Is that something
Yes.
more that undergraduates get involved in, or do postgrads do that as well?
So the at the moment it's mainly undergraduates that are involved in it, but the idea is to grow it, and we would like to keep, so far as possible, interested students warm, so as to speak, so that they can actually be involved in it. The law clinic is a pro bono service that we operate here at the university, and some of it is involved very much in advice giving. So things like family law, things like employment law, and that sort of thing. And it gives students the opportunity to get involved in real life cases. Otherwise, I run an environmental law clinic, which is not giving legal advice to individuals, but instead we do policy work around particular issues. So at the moment, we're looking at local government reorganisation and how that affects nature, and particularly the rights of nature, which is an emerging principle in law at the moment. And so we're having our students work on that. As we speak, actually, they are actually doing something now. So that's quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, pleased to hear it. Is that really that real world experience that's so valuable, isn't it?
Very much so, very much so. And it's a thing that Plymouth prides itself on, is that we do get our people doing things in the real world. I mean, we say that we're looking at global challenges and we're trying to come up with transformative solutions to that sort of thing. Well, we believe that actually being out there and engaging with policymakers and regulators is a way to do that.
Oh, well, that leads us quite smoothly onto the question that's come up in the Q&A. So yeah, Barakat says, I'd like to know if there'd be room for internship opportunities. So I guess you've spoken a bit about kind of real world application and some of the kind of potential progression routes from these LLMs. So yeah, within the course itself or otherwise more generally just about internships, if there's anything more you can say on that.
We don't currently arrange internships, but we would support them. We would support students if they wanted to find one, and we could probably help within the city at least, as to how that they might work. That's not to say that in the future our links with more national organisations couldn't provide something, but we can't guarantee you an internship. I guess is what we're saying. But by the same token, we would encourage students to look for that. For example, this morning I've just sent out something from the UK Environmental Law Association to my master's cohort this year, which is support for internships. So they would be offering sort of a small amount of money, about £150 a week or something like that, to support students to take an internship somewhere. Again, it's living costs that they're covering, and so that sort of thing is important. And we're lucky that we have the networks that we can actually share that amongst our students.
That's great. I will just, whilst you're talking about sort of employability, I'll just share some slides again. So just this one's just about our career service. So we do have a very active careers team as well. So whilst Jason sort of mentioned from the academic side, obviously academics themselves are, research active and we're active within the field professionally, so they've got their own contacts and links that they obviously share with their students. But we also have a very active careers service as well, so supporting students throughout their time here. And things like we do kind of micro internships and things like that. So kind of it depends on the opportunities that come up, but yeah, they can definitely help support in terms of application for internships and finding things as well. So yeah, and this is just kind of a little mini insight, but yeah, some of the kind of graduate fairs that they have going on and otherwise work experience and things like that that happen on campus while people are here. Yeah, that's to do with things. I'll stop sharing there. I'll have a little look if there's anything else So it looks like there's nothing else at the moment on the Q&A. Jason, I don't know, my question would be sort of having an international cohort in terms of your students. So what dynamic does that bring, having people with different nationalities within the classroom discussing law? Does that add an element of interest, debates,
It's
difference? Yeah,
it's
how does that
fabulous.
work?
It's fabulous. We get insights that we wouldn't get otherwise, and we're able to share those insights amongst the group, and it's great. We've currently got a variety of nationalities. We've Polish, we've got Nigerian, we have American, and they all bring something to the party. They all bring a different perspective, which in a legal context is really helpful to have. It stops us from making assumptions. It stops us from, or it helps us to appreciate that things aren't the same everywhere, and that there is a, but at the same time we all face very similar challenges, and as a result of that, we can work together in different ways to hopefully resolve them.
Yeah, that's great. Right, I'm going to share one more slide as we're talking. So just we briefly mentioned our postgraduate scholarship, but just to remind everyone on the call that that is £4,000. So yeah, that's automatically applied to your offer, providing you meet your conditions. So yeah, just to be aware of that. And then in terms of early payment discount as well for September 26th start. There is also that additional incentive there. Should you be able to take that option, that would allow an additional £500 discount. So, yeah, there's just a bit more sort of housekeeping type of things for you. But yeah, just to give, I guess, everyone kind of another minute, just in case there's anything else that comes up today, or otherwise, Alana, if there's anything else you wanted to ask Jason while he's on the call. But otherwise, we will kind of wrap up there. But
No, thanks very much. It's been really useful.
I'd just like to say as well that obviously the website addresses have been put in the chat. I think my contact details are on there. If you do have any questions that you didn't want to ask in this forum and you want to ask me, then please do get in touch, and I'm more than welcome to engage and help you if that's what you need.
that's great. Yeah, thank you ever so much, Jason. Yeah, that's really useful to know. And yeah, as I said, just to reiterate for everyone on the call that we will be circulating the slides and the recording after this, either through the agent newsletter or directly to your emails. In due course. So yeah, and we will circulate. We can pop it into the chat just now, if my colleague can pop it in while I'm chatting. If you can pop in there our international email as well, we can obviously help if anyone's got anything specific requirements. Obviously, Jason mentioned about sort of backgrounds of people have kind of done a slightly different undergraduate degree and just want to have a chat through their suitability. Then yeah, things like that, do let us know. And otherwise, yeah, I hope you found the session insightful today. And yeah, just thank you again very much, Jason, for your time.
My pleasure. Always good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.